Lovely. So what are we going to talk about today? Today we're going to talk about how to use the data dashboard, and I'll show you a demo because maybe you've had to play around with it, but there are a few little things you can do which maybe you haven't discovered yet. Then how to interpret that data. It's all well and good having this data, but how do I read it? What does it mean? What can I do with this? And then finally, some really concrete examples of how you can actively use that data to help make your business more productive, help increase that revenue, and of course, reduce the questions that you're getting from the people that are accessing your guides, whether that's whoever they may be. So let's jump straight in. So what is Data Dashboard? If you've seen it already and thought, oh my gosh, there's a graph and some numbers and I'm not really into that, or if you haven't looked at it yet, so what is this thing? What are you telling me, Emma? So we built a data dashboard so that every TouchStay customer could have like a really good overview of how their audience are interacting with the different parts of their guides over time. So you can identify concrete ways to keep improving your guide over time, and as you add more guides to keep enhancing that content, but base those enhancements based on guide usage and feedback from your audience. So you're not just acting blindly, but using concrete data to make choices and decisions for how to enhance your guides. Top level, the data dashboard will show you your guide views over time, which categories and subcategories customers are clicking on, and how your guides compare to the TouchStay customer average based on that audience feedback. So lots of great things to be thinking about, and lots of different data points that give you this really nice high level and also somewhat bit more of a granular view as well. So why is this data useful? Because data, just looking at data is not useful. So it's like, what is this data showing me? So the dashboard is really all about giving you data so that you can then take action. The number one question we get in our community group, our Rockstars Facebook group, and from hosts and property managers all around the world is, how can I know if my guides are useful to my customers, to my guests, to my visitors? How do I know this? And so this is what Data Dashboard is all about. You'll be able to see clearly who's opening your guide and when, if your audience is finding the right content that's relevant for them each moment of their journey with you, whether they're an event attendee, having a look at their day's agenda and having that at their fingertips, or if they're a guest who's checking in and needing those check-in instructions so they don't get stuck. It's how you know you're surfacing the right information to each person at the right time. And of course, it's about making sure that the content that you all spend a lot of time creating and crafting into your guides is useful. It's useful to the people that you're presenting that information to. Are you preempting their questions so they don't have to ask? Is it helping, for example, a guest plan ahead of their stay? Or someone plan ahead of an event that they're attending, or an activity that you've put on that they're attending to. So, what is it your guide is helping your audience to do, and making sure that it's useful to them and really truly useful. So this is really what Data Dashboard is all about. And I could keep talking about it loads, or I could just jump right into my account and show you. So before I do that, and I'll take you through how the dashboard works. A little caveat, I'm not a power host. I don't have hundreds and hundreds of guests coming to my properties, or hundreds of people coming in and viewing my guides over a lot of time. This is my personal account. But I do have a city guide. So I use TouchStay I have 4 guides in my account. One of them is a city guide because I have people come and visit me in Barcelona where I live. And I got really bored of answering the same repeat questions from friends and friends of friends. So I have this city guide that's, here you go. Here's everything you need to know to have a great weekend or whatever in Barcelona. And I also have a guide for my home. And whilst I don't rent that out as a property, I use that with people who come and stay at my house using Home Exchange. Home Exchange is a really cool platform where, clue is in the name, you exchange your home with someone. And so similar as you would use TouchStay for information for a guest, this is information for people coming to my home. And of course, I want them to look after my home and not have to have loads of questions whilst I'm also on holiday. So that's what this is for. So if you think some of the numbers are a bit low, it's because it's my personal account. But I'll just stop sharing now here, and I'll jump into my TouchStay account and share that instead. So can I successfully share my screen a second time? Yes. Where are we? Here we go. Lovely. So, lovely. So here's my account. I'm on the All Guides page, and you can see the 4 guides I just mentioned are in my account. So To find data dashboard, it's right in the top bar here, and you just click and you go into data dashboard. Lovely. So this is just loaded up with no filters. Well, it's showing, it sets to a default, which the data that you're seeing here is for all of my guides and the last 4 weeks. So if we just take a very quick snapshot of what we can see here, the information that's on this graph here, and the information that's shown in this section, first impressions and the guide pop-up, that's showing the clicks and the views for all of my guides and for the last 4 weeks. That's maybe not particularly interesting for me, especially as I've not done anything in the last 4 weeks. No one's come to visit. So let me show you how you can adjust the data that's shown here and show things that are more interesting to you, because what's interesting to you and every TouchStay customer will be totally different depending on how many guides you have, how you've got your account set up. So let me show you some of this. So the first thing you need to do to adjust the data that's shown on this page is choose which guides you want the data to show for. So you can see here, I have the default is all guides, or then I can choose from one of the 4 guides that are in my account. Another way that you can slice the data is via the tags. So the way I have my account set up is I have a tag for each guide. That's just the way it works for me, because none of my guides are connected together. They don't really share any information, except maybe my Barcelona guide and my house guide, because they're in Barcelona and they have some common information. But a lot of our customers use tags to group together different types of information. And a really great example of that is maybe you have, let's say you have 300 properties and they're all on the coast in the US, and you've got properties in LA, you've got properties in San Francisco. You would have a Los Angeles tag and a San Francisco tag, and you'd group together different guide content underneath those tags. So it's by area that you're setting up these tags. So you could choose a tag here to just view the information and the views and the interaction with just that content. So that's a really cool way of slicing this data. But I'm going to show you now what happens. And I'm going to choose my Welcome to Barcelona guide, because I know that one has the most views. So I'm going to click that here. And you can see that over the last 4 weeks, I've had 32 total views. And that's from 11 people who've been coming back and viewing. So you can see the unique number of visitors here, which is really cool. So you don't just get the total number of views, you get to know how many people are coming into your guide. Because let's say you have 10 reservations and you've got the information for those 10 guests. Hopefully it'll be viewed 10 times. But if you've got 50 visitors, you know that it's not just the primary guest or primary person that's made a booking with you that's coming, but that the other people in their party as well. So that's kind of the difference between the total views and the total unique visitors that shows here. So the next thing I'm going to do is change the date range. I'm going to change this to all time, because I've had my account for about a year now. So we'll be able to see over the last 12 months what that looks like. But you can choose from 7 days, 4 weeks, whatever. And there's also this really nice custom range as well. So if you have a specific date period that's important to you that you want to check up on, you can just, for example, let's go back. I want to go from 1st of February to the 1st of April. The data adjusts based on that. So it's very flexible based on what you want to see. But I'm going to change that back and just do all time, just to show you. So I can see here, again, the total number of views is adjusted to that total over the year period, and the total number of visitors, unique visitors, is there as well. And it's interesting to me, loads of people viewed this guide in December. I don't think I had many people coming to Barcelona in December, but maybe my guide has found legs and friends of friends have passed it on to their friends, and maybe they came to visit at Christmas. So, you know, if that's interesting to me, why were people looking at my guide in December? You know, what can I learn from that? So that's kind of the top level thing you see here in Data Dashboard. But now we want to get a bit more granular with the data that we can see, because views and visitors is super important, but there's more. So if we scroll down, the next level down you can go into is the category clicks and the subcategory clicks. And just to remind you that the guides and the date range that you've selected here changes the data for the whole dashboard. So that's reflected in the category clicks and subcategory clicks as well. So for category clicks, this shows me the categories in my guidebook, and all of them are there. That's all that I have, and the number of times those have been clicked on. So that someone has opened the guide and clicked on that category. So the welcome category is the #1 spot. That makes total sense because it's the top category. And normally that's what most people would be clicking on first thing. But then interestingly, the next one is weekend adventures. I guess people have been looking at the content that I put together about places to visit at the weekend. I didn't think that would be that interesting. I didn't think it was a very good category, but now I'm thinking, cool, maybe I should put some more data in there or some more recommendations to people because they're clearly wanting that type of information. And then next is getting around. People always want to know how to get around, whether it's taxi, bus, walking, whatever. So that makes sense. So as you can see, it just breaks down all the different categories and how often people are viewing them. Super straightforward. And then next is the subcategory clicks. So again, this is another level down of data. Again, I've got lots of bits in my welcome category, so it makes sense that that subcategory within the welcome category is at the top there. And then it breaks down again, showing all of the different ones that are interesting. So here, because you typically have more subcategories in your guide than a category, you notice here there's a little scrolling bar on the right-hand side. So even if you've got 100 of them or however many, you just keep scrolling and they'll all show here. So, I mean, it would be interesting if you have lots and lots of subcategories to scroll right down to the bottom and see what's not getting any clicks or low number of clicks. And if something has 0 clicks, it won't be showing on here. So if you think, oh, I can't find that category or that subcategory, it's not showing, it's because no one's clicked on it yet. So that's another indicator that you need to help get that information to people. Lovely. So just checking the Q&A box quickly. So a very good question from Nicole. How far back do these data points go? Can I go back and look at last summer's usage? So the guide views, that goes back all of the time of your guide. So as long as you've had an account with TouchStay, this data goes all the way back. So all of that historical data will be shown there. What's different is when it comes to the category clicks and the subcategory clicks, is that data, as it says here, it only includes data from the 1st of March of this year, because that's when we launched the data dashboard and started collecting that data. So if you think, oh my gosh, I've had people coming for years and people using my guides for years, but these numbers are low, that's because it only goes back just over a month. So that will start to build up over time. So if the numbers are low right now, that's still a good indicator to you on what your guests or your visitors are looking at. But yes, there will be data we haven't captured from the past, but that's because data dashboard didn't exist then. Lovely. So that's category clicks and subcategory clicks. There's 2 final pieces that are interesting that I'll show you here. So the first is first impressions. So if some of you may know that we have a topic called first impressions, and this is a special topic that you can put into your guide that you can send to customers through a memo message, or just have in the guide that asks the guests, that asks the guest to give you feedback on the first impressions of once they've stepped through the door into your property, for example. So we have a lot of TouchStay customers who will send this in a text message or an email to their guests and say, hey, is everything okay? The guest will open that topic and they're able to give a star rating, so out of 5 stars, and they're also able to give you a comment. And a lot of our customers find this is a really great way of capturing feedback from a guest as soon as they've stepped through the door or within the first couple of hours. So if there's a problem, you can deal with that problem very quickly and turn what might be a negative first impression experience into a positive one in the end. So that's what the first impressions category is all about. I don't have this turned on in my account, which is why there's no data showing. But if I did, you would see a star or a number rating here. And underneath that, as you see, we have this average here and we have the little TouchStay logo. So for all of the customers with a TouchStay account, the average feedback rating for the first impressions topic is 4.3. So if mine was 3 stars or 3.2, I'd know that I was below the average. And that's a nice indicator for me. Okay, why are my first impressions low? And what can I do to be improving that? What's gone wrong in the past? What can I improve? How can I make that better? So it gives you a nice benchmark to measure yourself against and a goal to aim towards. And of course, if you're higher than the average, awesome, well done. Good for you. Then the other one here, this little heart, I love this guide. This relates to our our guide feedback pop-up. So when anyone who you've sent your guide to has opened it on their phone and has clicked around and clicked around 50 times, so 50 little touch points, they'll get a pop-up on their within the guide that says, hey, are you loving this guide? And there's a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And so that's how we get this rating and the percentage, whether it's a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So you can see that the average for touch day is 93%. It's very nice for all of our customers. People are clearly loving all of our touch day guides. But mine is 100%, so I feel very good about that one. So this is Data Dashboard. And one thing I want to make very clear is that Data Dashboard is, as we show here with this little beta flag, it's brand new. This is data that we've never collected before. And this is just the first phase of what we want to be able to deliver to you, to give you much more information and understanding about how people are using and engaging with your guides. So there'll be more to come. And if you have any feedback or any requests, things you'd like to share about what you'd like to see on this dashboard, pop that in the Q&A or send me an email at emma@touchday.com. I'd love to hear any of your feedback, because this is just the beginning, and there's lots more to come. But we wanted to start with the really key things that we know can make a difference. So with that in mind, I'm just going to check the Q&A box, see how we're doing. Lovely. Okay, so right, so that is Data Dashboard. I'm now going to go back into the presentation and show you how you can take some of these data points and actually do something with them. Super, so let's pop back. Lovely. And we're back in, fantastic, okay. And I'll move on. Super, so some of the key things that we see in our customers' guides, and some of the things that we get a lot of feedback on from a very practical perspective is, so the whole point of Data Dashboard is all really about, once you've got that data, how do I practically do something with this data? How do I take this information and take practical steps? So the next couple of slides now, I'm going to really run through that to show you like what you can actually do with this now and make it useful to you, not just a pretty dashboard. So one of the key things that we hear about a lot is concern around, I've got low guide views. People aren't finding my guide. They're not even getting through the doors of that first click through into the guide. So if that's an issue that you're having, or even if the good views aren't low, but you know you want more views, it's the first thing to do is to step back and think, how and when are you sharing your guides? So there's two pieces of important information here. Number one is think about how often are you sharing the link to your guide. If you're sharing it once with your guests or other people who are accessing your guides, then if they miss that email, if they miss that text message, if they don't receive that link for whatever reason, they're never going to be able to find your guidebook, and you've missed out on a key opportunity to get all of this wonderful information that you've built into their hands. So we recommend, as a baseline, send that guide link at least 3 times throughout that journey. So if it's a guest and we're thinking about that guest journey from post-booking through to the end of their stay, send that guidebook post-booking. And you can send that however you wish through your the OTA inbox, through the PMS unified inbox that you're using, or using Memo, which is TouchDay's messaging solution. So post-booking, you want to get that message with the guide link out to the guest midway before their arrival. So depending on the booking window, whether they've got 1 week between booking and arrival, or if it's 6 months, it really varies depending on your type of property and business. Think about that midway point, or even maybe a week or so before if it's a very long booking window, to just have that additional prompt, that reminder, here's your guidebook, here's all this great information for you. And then of course, just before arrival, there's lots of information that a guest will need pre-arrival, such as check-in information, driving instructions, information of how to get to the airport if that's how they're arriving, and how to arrive at your property. So there's lots that you can do and to share that information to make sure guests are getting that before they're arriving. So practical step, send that guide link at least 3 times. And you can send it even more times. It really depends on your communication strategy. We covered this in a previous webinar. So if you go hunting through our YouTube channel, you'll be able to find that, where we break down all around guest communication best practices. So number one, send that guide link at least 3 times. The next is think about the methods that you're using to share your guide. So I mentioned you might be sharing the guide link through your OTA portal. So maybe the Amazon, Airbnb or Booking.com, for example. Whether you're sharing that through your PMS inbox, so a property management solution like Guesty or Lodgify or OwnerRez. Are you sending emails or communications to your guests through that inbox? You can drop the guide link in there as well. TouchStay are integrated with 12 different PMS providers and also with Airbnb. So there are ways to automate the picking up of that guide link and sending it to your guests through those messages. Have a look in our knowledge base for how to do that. And then, of course, there's Memo, which, as I've mentioned, is TouchStay's email and text messaging solution. So you don't have to just rely on one method to get the guidebook to your guests. So it's not just the number of times you send it, but it's the methods that you send it through as well. Some guests want everything through email. Some guests at different parts of their journey prefer a text message. So again, take a step back, think about your communication strategy and when and how you're delivering information to your guests. And if you're really stuck on worrying, my guide views are low, make sure you're sending the guide multiple times and make sure you're using multiple methods to get the guide to your guests. One email is just not enough. So have a think about that. And a great action point is to at least start adding in 1 or 2 additional sharing points of when you get that guide link out. Wonderful. Okay, next point. So taking action again, and this time it's low category clicks. So what if you have low category clicks? So you know that your guide sections, the categories, they're full of really great information, and you've spent a lot of time building up that information, but your audience is not finding it. Maybe a category that has critical information about check-in. You look on your data dashboard, it's got 2 views. You're thinking, why? Why can't, that's not great for my audience and that's not great for me. So how do I help them? So there's 2 different ways you can tackle this. So number 1 is you can use deep links to send specific content to your audience. So in the context of a guest coming to your property, and to step back, maybe you're thinking, what is a deep link? What does she mean? So a deep link, every section of your TouchStay guidebook, the category and the subcategory has a specific link. So you can pull out that link, you can download them from TouchStay, download them all in a CSV file, an Excel file, or you can just copy the individual links to each individual category and subcategory. So once you've got those links, keep that aside for a moment, but links that are useful to think about. So you've got the Wi-Fi password, so you'll have your Wi-Fi subcategory maybe. You want to get that out to your guests. That's critical information that they need, that they want to access just as they're arriving. Door lock codes and access instructions. So before the guest is arriving, take that deep link, pop it in an email or a text message, you can get that to the guest. And of course, the check-in instructions. If there's something tricky the guest needs to do, or if there's self-check-in available, you want them to know that before they get to your property and they're suddenly thinking, oh no, what do I do? How do I get in? You can preempt that situation by using these deep links to get that specific content into their hands. And you can send these deep links, of course, using Memo, which is our messaging assistant. And for these really critical pieces of information like check-in and door lock codes, sending a text message is really the best format. We know that that's, especially pre-arrival, having something pop up on the phone and it's nice and easy accessible and not buried in an email inbox, that's really useful. And the next thing is the search function. So a lot of people don't know about our search function, which is a shame because it's really cool. So if you look at the image we have here on the right, so there are 4 tabs in the guest view of the guidebook. At the bottom, you have the home tab, the info tab, which takes you through to the guidebook sections, the map tab, which shows you all of the map and the map pins, and then you have the search tab. And this is what the guest will see when they click that. So the guest can type into the search box any word or phrase for something they're looking for. For example, if they're looking for check-in, you type in check-in, and they'd be able to surface anywhere the word check-in is used in your guide, and they'd be able to see the category or the subcategory and click through. Like, that's great, but your guest already has to know that that's there. So you can highlight that search function to them. So you can tell guests in the welcome section of your guide, just have a little line, guess what? You can use the search function and tell them where it is. And you can even do a screenshot like I have here and show it to them in a guide, or you can tell them in a message. So again, sending an email or a text message. By the way, if you want to find information yourself, just use our little search function. So it's a really simple one, but just highlighting that to your guests and your visitors is a really great way to help them self-serve. So all of that information you've spent a long time crafting within your guide, they can find it for themselves. So that's fewer questions, less back and forth, and it's a win-win for everyone. Super. So next point of taking action. So we want to know how your visitors really feel. So a really interesting statistic that came back from our guest communication study that we put out last year is that less than half of guests feel well looked after, according to that study. And that's not great. When someone's coming to your real property or they're going off on their holiday, they want to feel looked after and they want to have a good time, because that's good for them and that's good for your business. Happy guests, happy business. And I assume everyone who's watching this, I assume you don't want your guests to not feel like they're being looked after, whether you're running an event and using a TouchStay guide for that, or if it's your wedding guests, or you're running a yoga studio, or whatever it might be that you're using a TouchStay guide for. You want the people that are using that guide to feel taken care of and to have their questions answered in a friendly way. So you might think, well, how do I know? How do I know how these guests feel? So this relates to those two pieces on the data dashboard that I showed you, which is the first impressions topic. So we'll start there. So turn on the first impressions or pop it into your, I say turn it on, you just pop it into your guidebook. It's a special topic that you can find in the drop-down menus when you're adding a new topic. You can add it to any category, any subcategory that you wish. This is a great way of gathering feedback. And as I said before, you can stop those negative situations developing before they happen. You know, we have a great story from Tyann, one of our power users of TouchStay, and also the queen of guest experience here at TouchStay. And she had this great story where her cleaning crew had missed a dirty nappy, a diaper that had gone behind the door. And so when the next set of guests arrived, they moved that door and they could see this dirty nappy. And, you know, no one wants to see a dirty nappy. So Tyann sent them the first impressions topic in a text message. So they clicked through and they were able to tell her, no, they weren't having a great experience. And so she was able to immediately send out someone from her cleaning crew, remove the nappy and make it up to them. So turned this negative experience through into fixing it very quickly and ending up with a happy 5-star review in the end. So first impressions is just a completely easy way. It takes a couple of minutes to add to your guide, and it's a great way to show guests that you are thinking about them, and helps your hospitality shine through. And it's a no-brainer. I really recommend turning it on. You'll be amazed the information that you can gather. And then the next one is the guide feedback pop-up. So on the right here, this is an image of what it looks like. So when anyone who you've sent your guidebook link to, when they've clicked on that link and they've poked around in the guide up to 50 taps, they'll get this little pop-up where it says, we're curious, are you loving this guide? And they hopefully will click the thumbs up rather than thumbs down. And that's the rating that you'll see on the dashboard. So this is just a really nice way to gather nice kind of top level sentiment. Because if guests are not loving your guide, maybe there's something wrong within the content of your guide. Maybe something's incorrect or something's missing. So it's a lovely top level way of getting that guest sentiment and understanding how they feel. And from that, you can take actions to make adjustments to your guide. Lovely. And then, okay, so you might have a great guide, but you're thinking, how do I go further? Maybe you've been with TouchStay a little while and you've spent a lot of time crafting the perfect guide, but you're thinking, well, what now? How do I get more views? How do I get more clicks? How do I get more engagement? You've got the basics now, but you really want to take it further. You can do so much more with your guide. Maybe it's upselling so you can increase revenue. Maybe it's bringing lots of other cool recommendations or relevant information to your guests in a way that just isn't dry and is a bit more exciting. So the good news is we have a bunch of new features at TouchStay that will help you do this. You know, all of these lovely features that make visitors want to read more of your guides and explore more of your content. So we released back in December these third-party embeds that we call custom elements. And we released a whole bunch of them additionally last month. So we now have 16. So that's 16 different third-party products that you can embed into the guide, which is really cool. So we have some nice examples here. So there's 5 here, but there's so much you can do with them. I really recommend having an explore. So the first one here, this is an All Trails walking tour. And this is a screenshot from my guide. And this is showing a walking tour in an area called La Floresta, just outside of Barcelona. And it shows the whole walking route. And the guest can click on that within the guide and use that to navigate for their walk. So they're really using your TouchStay guide as their little concierge, their little pocket pal, to help navigate them around on their tour. Or they can also click through into the All Trails app as well and have even more information and discover other trails as well. So if your property is really in an outdoor area and you're surrounded by nature, this is a really great one to add into your guide, and it's free. Your guest will have to potentially create an account if they want to use the All Trails app. And you can create a free account yourselves as well to get the link to drop in here. But it's just a no-brainer. It's really lovely if that matches up with the type of activities you'd like guests to be doing around your property. The next one here, this is from one of our customers, Freelance Villas, and this is a jot form. So this is a jot form that has been embedded into the guide, and this is for speedy check-in. So it's a little survey that sits within the guide, and the guest does everything there. They don't click out to another app or another screen. It's all within the guide, and through that they can submit all the information that's needed for them to do speedy self-check-in. So that's great for your team because your check-in sorted. That's great for your guests because they know it's all done and they haven't had to download another app or click another link in an email and get a bit lost. It's all there within their guide. And the jot forms can be used for anything. So this is just one example of speedy check-in, but there's so much more you can do with jot form. Have a little Google of jot form. We also have a blog on our website about the different ways you can use custom elements, and particularly jot form. Another jot form example is this one here, this shop, and this is from Branson Retreats guide. So this, you can use a jot form to embed a little shop within your guide. So your guests or anyone who's coming into your guide can make a purchase. So whether that's a service that you want to offer them or a physical product, they can browse the products and they can place the payment here and complete the payment. Because Jotform, which is the embed source here, manages, I think it's around 30 different payment gateways. So no matter which payment gateway you're using to take payments, hopefully that's one of the ones covered by Jotform. So it's a really great way for adding upsells to your guide and getting more value per booking and offering more to your guests and great services that they don't have to go and search for through Google or find elsewhere. It's all within your guide. The next example here, this is from my Barcelona guide, and this is an example of embedding a Spotify playlist. So you can embed Spotify playlists or a Spotify podcast episode, and this is a playlist. I'm a bit obsessed with Taylor Swift, who isn't? And this is a Barcelona Swiftie playlist that me and my Barcelona friends listen to because we're nerds and have nothing better to do. But I have this in my guide because there's a lot of different musical events around Taylor Swift that you can go to in Barcelona. So it's a lovely way of adding music and a bit of a bit of a vibe to your guide. There's so many different types of playlists you can add: a driving playlist, a poolside playlist. We have a customer who's they have a beautiful cottage in the countryside in England, and they have a stargazing playlist because where their properties are, they have a beautiful view. It's a beautiful natural light area where there's no light pollution and they can see the stars. So they have this lovely playlist for their guests to listen to while they're looking up at the sky, which just sounds magical. And then the last one here is an example of a Matterport 3D tour. So this is where you can film in 3D and create a 3D model and tour of your entire property. Whether that's your property, an event space, a wedding venue, your yoga studio, whatever space it is, all you need is your phone and you can create a free Matterport account. I've done this myself. It's really fun. You just walk around and it tells you where to go, where to film. You can do it straight from your phone, and then you can just pop that straight into your guide. So imagine you can give a full virtual tour to your guests before they've even walked through the door. So if you've got a big party of 12 people coming and they want to fight over which bedroom, they don't have to wait until they arrive to do that. They can do that directly and look at the different rooms where they want to sleep and, you know, where they're going to sunbathe if there's a nice outdoor area. They can see that all from the Matterport tour. And you can also embed into the tour little points that the guest can click on that surfaces information like hot tub instructions, how to use a coffee machine. It's a really cool tool, and it's completely free to use. And of all the custom elements that we've released so far, Matterport is the most used one by our customers, and we see it being added more and more every day. It's just an absolute no-brainer. It's very easy to do. Guests love it. And it's a great way to build anticipation before arrival. So if you're thinking, oh, my views are a bit low, I'm not getting these categories clicked on enough, my feedback rating is a bit low, these are really great features that are free and included in your TouchStay subscription that you can add. And they're all completely flexible. You can tailor them to whatever you want your guidebook to look like. So there's a whole world of stuff that you can do. And I really recommend having a read of some of our most recent blogs around custom elements to learn more. So that's hopefully a really nice introduction to Data Dashboard, some of the things, the practical steps you can take to improve some of those metrics if they're not quite where you want them to be. And hopefully this gives you lots of ideas for enhancing the content in your guides ahead of, as we are coming in on this side of the world, coming into that peak season, the holiday season. So with that, I'm going to just take a look in the Q&A box and start answering some of your questions. Just see how we're doing for time. We're doing all right. I haven't talked too much, so that's great. Lovely. So some of these have been answered. How often is the data refreshed? The data is refreshed. Our product team will kill me now for forgetting precisely this one. It's almost real time. I think it's around every 15 minutes. So it's very much real-time data. So you don't have to wait a week or a month for it to refresh. It's constantly being refreshed and updated. So if you've just had some people arrive at your property and you've had a new first impressions rating received, or you've had more guide views, those will start to show up on your dashboard. So it's very fast. If it wasn't in real time, it wouldn't be quite as helpful. What else have we got? Lovely. We've had a bit of feedback here about the category clicks being at 0, and can we show those if they're at 0? So I'll take that. Thank you. That's very helpful, Annabelle. Thank you for that feedback. Where do you add the first impressions? So it's very, very easy. You go into, I wonder if I can, no, we don't have enough time for me to show you, but if you pop into your account, and if you haven't added it already, go to so if you go to a category, go into a subcategory and you add it as a topic, when you click add topic, the little drop down that pops up, it will say special topics. And if you click on special topics, you'll get the choices, and first impressions is one of those. If you're not sure, go to our knowledge base and just type in first impressions, and step-by-step instructions will be shown on how to add that, but it is super easy. Lovely. Okay, more questions. Oh, a very good question. Does the data get captured regardless of how they access the guide? For example, if they switch between clicking links from a phone or a browser, or if they have it installed on the home screen. So every time the guide is open for the first time, that's counted as a click. And it doesn't matter whether that's sent the quick share link or as an invitation link, so that trackable invitation link. And once it's installed within the phone, because the guest can add it to their home screen, whether it's an Android phone or an iPhone, every click will still be registered. And yeah, so every time it's being viewed, that will still be counted as a view. So if, yeah, hopefully that's helpful. The same question about the data being refreshed, that's all good. Will we see the actual guide? And are you saying that other people outside? Yeah, so that's a good question. So a lot of the time when you're doing most of your communication with the primary guest, so the guest that's made that booking, and if you have a party of 10 guests coming, that's 9 other people that you're not necessarily communicating to. So you really hope that that primary guest will send that on. Something that you can do to increase your guide views and make sure you capture more of that full party of guests. And something a lot of our customers do is they put QR codes to the guide throughout their property. So one in the entranceway when they arrive, maybe one next to the fridge, and then a couple in the bedroom. And you can get your QR code from inside your TouchStay account. You can also get QR codes to individual guide sections, so those deep links that I talked about before. So for example, if you have a coffee machine that's difficult to use, you can get the deep link for the coffee machine instructions, create a QR code for that, print that off and put it next to the coffee machine. So if I'm one of the guests and I've come down in the morning and I really need a coffee, I don't have to ask the primary guest, oh, how do I do this? I can just scan the QR code and then you've got more views and more of your information being found. And one of the good things about getting more people into your guides, we have another special topic, like the first impressions, called email capture. And you can request, so all a guest has to do is click on that topic, and you can request that they give you their email address so you can stay in touch with them and build a relationship with them as well post-booking. You know, ask them to sign up to your newsletter and continue to remarket to them. So that's another great way of not just expanding the number of the guest party that you can engage with, but hopefully getting their contact details and building a longer term relationship with them as well. Lovely. Okay. A question, is there a way to not show the views from our personal phones? So I think you mean that every time that you as the TouchStay account person, owner, is viewing the guide, can we separate those? We can't right now. That is something that we've discussed and will be hopefully on the plan for the phase 2, because we know we'd love to be able to separate those out so you have more of a cleaner view of what actual interaction from guests and not including yourself. Most of my views, at least at the start, when I have a new guide, that's just me. That's just me clicking around. But that's great feedback, thank you, and one that we're very aware of. Are there any plans to show stats for individual topics? So we've discussed this one as well as a team. It's quite difficult because when a guest has the way the menus work, once you've opened a category on your phone, all of the topics will be shown. And for example, if you have all of your topics expanded, when the guest is viewing from the guest view, they don't need to necessarily click on the topic to see the information because it's already expanded and is visible to them. So it's quite hard for us to actually capture the topic views. We're trying to figure out a way we might be able to do that, but it's not something we're going to be able to deliver right now. But it is a very good question, but that's why we rely more on the category clicks and the subcategory clicks. Great. Lovely. A question, do QR code clicks count as a view? Yes, they do. So as I said, if you have those QR codes around your property and someone clicks one of them, yes, that will count as a view as well. And if it's a new person that's never viewed your guide before, that will count as a new unique visitor as well. Where are the links? That's a very good question. So there are 2 places that you can do it. I recommend you go into our knowledge base and just type in deep links, and you'll have a step-by-step instructions on how to do that. That you can either download all of the deep links for all of the sections of all of your guides in one Excel file. You can do that from the All Guides page, which was that page I first landed on during the demo. Or when you're in Content Hub, if you go to the right-hand side of a category or a subcategory and click the 3 dots, you can download the deep link, or you can copy rather the deep link from there. But go to our knowledge base, search deep link, and you'll find it all there. Lovely. Is there a cost for using Memo? That's a question from Nat. No, it's completely included in your account. So if you're not using Memo already, definitely check out the Memo webinar that we did last month. It's on our YouTube channel, and you can see all about how to use Memo for automating the sending of emails and text messages. It's great. It's a great webinar. I highly recommend it. Lovely. Where do we find the custom elements? Good question from Gordon. Thank you. So if you go into our knowledge base and you search custom elements, that's a great place to start. And they're all listed out in individual articles there. If you want to have the full list of all of the ones that we have, you can go to our website and look under our features. If you scroll to the bottom of the website, click features, you'll find the section on custom elements, and they're listed there. And if you also go to our blog and search for custom elements, you'll see some of the articles there talking about how you can use them with lots of examples. but I'm glad we get a question about custom elements. It's such an exciting feature, and I hope you all get, check them out. They're really great. Lots of questions about custom elements. That's great. Wonderful. Question, can I confirm the Matterport 3D virtual tours are created from your mobile? Yes. So this is why Matterport is so great. A lot of the other 3D tour companies require you to have a special 3D camera or a fancy camera. But with Matterport, you just do it from your mobile phone. And I have an Android and it worked perfectly for me. And I know we have customers with iPhones that are doing it as well. So nothing fancy needed. It's great. Give it a try. Okay. Oh, this is a great question. We have a lot of 0 reads, so 0 views, or categories that have 0 views, but our guides are quite wordy. Any recommendations on how to make it more glance friendly? That's really great. And we do know, I mean, some people love to absorb information by reading. Some people like images, some people like videos. So if you think you're a bit too word heady, I'd really look at seeing if you can replace some of that wording with nice imagery, or certainly looking if it's instructions that are very word heady, how can you turn that into a video? I'm not a video person. I really prefer to read instructions, but I know I'm not really that's just me. So many people really prefer videos for instructions and information that's telling them how specifically to do something. So if a lot of your text is really explanations and instructions, switching those into videos, and you can upload a video into TouchStay. That's a really great way of cutting down on something that's a bit text heavy. Likewise, if you're asking for information from a guest and you've got lots of different links and things, think about how you could maybe turn that into a custom element. Can you use a Jot form or a Google form? How can you kind of add more of an interactive element? So I definitely think about videos, images, and looking at the custom elements to try and cut down on some of the text heaviness if you think that's having an impact. Lovely. Can this be branded with my company instead of TouchStay? So your guide can be entirely branded as your business. It doesn't have to say TouchStay anywhere. You can upload your own logo, your own images. You can have your own color scheme in there as well. So it's very much adaptable to your own branding. So if you go into your account settings, there's a section called branding, and in there you can change around, as I said, the colors, the images, and the logo. We don't want your guests to be worrying about TouchStay. We want your guests to be thinking about your business. So it's all very much adaptable to your own branding and your own brand voice as well. Wonderful. We are almost out of time, and that's the majority of questions answered. If there is something that I haven't answered that you're really keen to follow up on, please send me an email at emma@touchstay.com, and I'll absolutely get back to you. Or reach out to support@touchstay.com as well if you have more technical questions. We're always happy to help. And there's other ways to get more information. Ooh, there we go. So there's 2 QR codes here. We do love a QR code. So you can, that guest communication study that I mentioned earlier, if you're thinking about how you can now use some of these product features I've talked about, like deep links and memo, go and click this QR code, get the guest communication study, learn a lot of best practices and insights around guest communication, and use that to then think, okay, cool, I'm going to start using Memo to send deep links and start building out your guest communication strategy. That's a really great read. I definitely recommend get your cup of tea and dig into that one. And then the other QR code, this will take you through to join our Rockstars Facebook group. So this is our community of property managers, hosts, event organizers, people from all over the world who are using TouchStay guides. We've got almost 3,000 people in there now, which is wonderful. It's a very active group, and you can ask any question you have, and you're sure to get a ton of people responding to you. I also post in there on a weekly basis with new things we've released, updates, fun information, and asking for feedback on our product. So it's a really active, fun community. So I do recommend scan that QR code and come and join us. And thank you all so much for being here. I hope this has been useful. I hope you all dig into your data dashboards and see what it might be able to teach you about how you can get even more out of Touch Day. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of day wherever you are in the world. Bye.